Pioneers are explorers. Pioneers are innovators. Pioneers are leaders. We are Marietta College. We are pioneers. Find out how you can become a PIO at www.marietta.edu.
Coming up today on NewsCenter 15, iconic Yoshino cherry trees are predicting early spring in Washington, D.C.
And Starbucks launches a new coffee in Italy known as olive oil coffee.
We'll have all these stories and more at NewsCenter 15 starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday's edition of NewsCenter 15. I'm Colton Abate.
And I'm Tyler Salanitro.
Topping off our news this afternoon, the iconic Yoshino cherry tree are predicting early spring in Washington, D.C. after fully blooming. Experts say this is a record-breaking early bloom and usually do not bloom before April 4th. The last earliest peak bloom was recorded in March 15, 1990.
Starbucks is launching a new coffee in Italy known as olive oil coffee. Starbucks says it is velvety smooth and delicately sweet, making it have a new flavor and texture. The ingredients include olive oil, espresso, and golden foam cold brew. And Starbucks is trying to expand their company throughout Italy to more than the 20 outlets currently hosted.
Let's take a quick look at the current conditions.
Here to provide our first look at the weather is Landon Santini.
Well, thank you very much, Tyler. Well, we had a bit of a downpour of rain in the late evening hours last night, but we're going to be dealing with some rather calm temperatures today. Right now it feels like 41 degrees outside with mostly cloudy conditions. It's relatively calm today. Moderate UV index of 3, fair air quality, and a medium pollen count of 6.3, no doubt brought about by the rain we had last night. The winds will be running around the west-northwest about 13 miles per hour. Again, because of the rain we had last night, the humidity level has been raised to about 69%. The sun rose today around smack dab at 7 o'clock in the morning, and sunset is going to be occurring later this evening about 16 after 6. So sun's rising a little bit later these days, and sun's setting a little bit earlier today. That's just one more sign that we're getting closer and closer to spring, which is amazing because March is beginning tomorrow. And going forward into that new month, we're going to talk a little bit later on in the program about how the weather is going to affect our little neck of the woods going forward. But until then, back to you guys at the desk.
A Florida high school student has been arrested after attacking a school employee because she took away his Nintendo Switch away. This 17-year-old has been taken into custody and been charged with felony aggravated battery with bodily harm. The 6'6" student has said to become violent in recent weeks.
2 people have been arrested after shooting 9 children at a Columbus gas station in Georgia. 35-year-old D'Angelo Robinson and another 15-year-old have been charged with aggravated assault. The two got into an altercation amongst one another and went to a nearby Shell gas station where all children were shot.
Coming up, Ron DeSantis' shadow campaign for the presidency has suddenly become much more visible.
And writer Chase Campbell of History Heroes was recognized for West Virginia History Day.
Stay with us.
Hey, this is Kevin Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, many of us feel anxious. Mindfulness can help you ease those feelings. My nonprofit is partnering with Headspace to offer free content to help you stress less. Head to kevinlovefund.org/headspace.
Here's to the straggly ones, the first ones. Hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones. And the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
Writer Chase Campbell of History Heroes was recognized for West Virginia History Day in Charleston on February 23rd. Among those recognized as a history hero was Roger Nedeff of Vienna. Nedeff is on the board of directors of the Wood County Historical Society, where he helps preserve and promote regional history. He's also the resident historian at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, where he has written a history of the parish and translated nearly half of a century of baptismal records from Latin to English. Nedeff said he was honored to be recognized as a history hero.
Ron DeSantis' shadow campaign for the presidency has suddenly become much more visible, even as his advisors insist he's focused on governing California. DeSantis recently launched a tax-exempt organization that sponsored his speaking engagements to police groups in New York and the Philadelphia and Chicago suburbs last week. He hosted a retreat for top donors from across the country at the Four Seasons in Palm Beach this weekend, and he has already sold out venues for a national book tour that begins Tuesday. Even without jumping into the race, DeSantis has distinguished himself as the greatest early threat to Trump, winning the Republican nomination for a third time in a row.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine suffered a displaced distal fibula fracture just above his ankle during his visit to East Palestine last week in the aftermath of the toxic Norfolk Southern train derailment. DeWine's office confirmed with Fox 8 Cleveland that the governor will need to wear a boot for the next few weeks as he recovers. DeWine told the Columbus Dispatch that his foot caught on something while walking down the stairs of the First Church of Christ in East Palestine on Tuesday. The church is the site of a health assessment clinic that opened in the wake of the freight train derailment on our outskirts of East Palestine on February 3rd.
The Biden administration plans to cancel up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt for millions of Americans. Will come under scrutiny by the Supreme Court on Tuesday, facing a crucial test from a conservative court that has been wary of broad claims of executive power. The program, unveiled in August, satisfies a campaign promise from President Biden and would provide relief to more than 40 million borrowers, 20 million of whom would have their loan balances wiped out altogether, the White House estimates. But with a cost of roughly $400 billion, a group of 6 states and 2 borrowers from Texas are pushing the Supreme Court to invalidate the program and argue the Biden administration would unlawfully invoke the COVID-19 pandemic to claim breathtaking and transformative power. The court is set to consider 2 questions when it convenes for arguments. First, whether the states and borrowers have the legal right to challenge the program, a concept known as standing, and then whether the Biden administration exceeded its authority with its plan to eliminate $430 billion of federal student loan debt.
Coming up next, residents of Michigan had a 4th straight day of darkness.
We'll also get the latest news coming from Hollywood.
And after a relatively dry day today, we could be in for yet another scorcher tomorrow. Stay tuned for the 5-day forecast after this.
Where are we?
We're at Marietta College.
This is where we live, at Marietta College.
When kids need medical care, they face life-changing experiences. They miss out on the things that make being a kid fun. Starlight Children's Foundation programs entertain and inspire hospitalized kids. Learn more at starlight.org.
Marietta, a place some people call home.
A place of athletes.
A place of discovery.
A place for the future.
Your plan.
Your future.
Go Pios.
Residents in the state of Michigan had a fourth straight day of darkness as crews were working to restore power for more than 200,000 homes as well as business in the Detroit area following the ice storm last week. The state of Michigan's two main utility companies, DTE Energy and Consumers Energy, are still working to get power back for these customers. Earlier this weekend, both companies said they hope to have lights back on for the majority of their customers. A spokesperson for DTE Energy said that some of the customers haven't had power since Wednesday, but she did not know how many homes and businesses were in that predicament.
Tropical Cyclone Freddy dumped dangerous and exceptional rainfall levels Friday over Mozambique in South Africa. Freddy made landfall in Vilancueilas, a coastal town with wind speeds reaching 70 miles an hour. This storm is classified as an intense tropical cyclone. The storm is predicted to weaken as it goes through southern Africa, but still is subject to heavy rainfall in neighboring nations, according to the Regional Weather Center in Reunion. In a statement by the UN Weather Agency, it was warned that this could lead to months' worth of rainfall in this space of days, causing widespread flooding in areas that already received high river basin levels from unusually heavy seasonal rain.
A magnitude 5.6 earthquake shook southern Turkey Monday. This is the 3 weeks after a catastrophic temblor devastated the region. Some buildings were damaged already and killed at least one person. As the result of the earthquake, there were more than 100 people injured in the Marietta province. There were over 24 buildings that collapsed also in province. Marietta is one of the 11 provinces hit by the 7.8 earthquake that devastated parts of the southern Turkey as well as northern Syria on February 6th. It's time to look to entertainment news. We have exciting info for New Kids on the Block fans and the details on the latest from the master of horror.
Addison has the scoop with today's Hollywood Minute.
This one will make you want to leave the lights on tonight. Here's a look at the first trailer for The Boogeyman, based on the Stephen King story. The Boogeyman tells the story of a high school student and her younger sister who are reeling from the recent death of their mother and aren't getting much support from their father, a therapist who is dealing with his own problems. The Boogeyman creeps into theaters June 2nd. New Kids on the Block went retro with this fun cartoon to announce BlockCon, their first ever something. More info at nkotb.com. Miley Cyrus is still blooming on the Billboard charts. Flowers remains the biggest song in the world. It claims a 6th week at #1 on the Billboard charts. The streak for Flowers is the longest for a song by a woman in nearly 2 years, since Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license led for 8 straight weeks in January to March of 2021. That's it for today. With your Hollywood Minute, I'm Addison Painter. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for looking at the Hollywood Minute, Addison.
Now we'll head to Landon for a look at the extended forecast.
Well, Tyler, as you can see, we're not really dealing with any major precipitation or any cool temperatures. You could see in the country map just a little while ago that most of the precipitation and coldness were from the north of us up through the Great Lakes and the southern border of Canada. As we skip ahead to the 5-day forecast, we could see that the temperature increase I mentioned earlier is going to be rising right up to a high of 72 with sunny conditions, just as high as the warmest day of the year last week. So it could be a contender for second place or maybe a tie. That will continue into, well, actually it won't continue. It'll decrease by about 10 degrees into Thursday with partly sunny conditions and a high of 61. remaining consistent on Friday with an expected high of 60, but with some partly rainy conditions, a rather drab and dreary way to start the weekend. And that rain will cause a cool down on Saturday with an expected high of 46 and partly cloudy conditions. But things will start picking up for the churchgoers on Sunday with an expected high of 50 and relatively sunny conditions. So as we transition from February into March, this weekend is also the beginning of Marietta College's launch into spring break. And starting it out with rain, that's going to be a bit of a downer way to start it. But hopefully, going forward, we'll find out whether or not the week itself will be good temperatures for sticking around town or going out and doing vacation somewhere else. But we'll talk about that tomorrow or Thursday. Until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Landon. When we come back, Grant will have the latest in the world of sports news.
Stay with us.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course.
He's reaching, but he pushes it away. He's approaching a plate of iced cookies. He blows right by him.
Oh, the fridge.
Looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle.
Now he's just got to get out of there.
Look what dropped from the sky.
Don't do it, Dennis. That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Marietta College, home of the pioneers. A small town on the Ohio River with a tight-knit community and tons of opportunity. Find a home here at Marietta College. Bring forth a pioneer.
What are we gonna do? Ta-da! All right. Come on, every pony. Woo!
Liza, I just love how ponies are better together.
Me too. You know, same thing with Girl Scouts, Kamiko. Every day they make each other shine a little brighter.
And they make the world around them a better place. So join Girl Scouts.
And be a part of the friendship and magic.
And now we're back with Grant for a look at sports.
What's happening, Grant?
I'll give you the rundown right now. Both the men's and women's track teams traveled to Baldwin Wallace this past weekend to compete in the OAC Indoor Conference Championship. The women's side was led by sophomore Emma Fierman, who took the crown in the triple jump. Freshman Emily Thompson also performed well, placing as a runner-up in the women's pole vault. On the men's side, Addison Painter had himself a pretty decent weekend. He won the conference title in the long jump as well as another podium finish in the triple jump with a jump of 13.78 meters and the triple that landed him at third. Painter tied a 47-year-old Marietta College record. On top of this, he placed fourth in the 55-meter hurdles as well as tying for seventh for the high jump. Because of his outstanding performance, Painter was named the men's field athlete of the meet. Marietta College women's lacrosse team plays against St. Vincent College on Sunday, February 26th. The team's home opener, the Pioneers beat the Bearcats 15-4 and move up 2-0 for the beginning of the season. The players mentioned with the win were Lindy Brobick and Renee Mulvannon with a goal, Hope Adams with 5 goals, Mallory Willis with 5 goals, Kayla Gowton with 2. Abame was credited with 11 saves, 21 shots, with 15 of them being a goal. Your Marietta College Pioneers lacrosse team plays March 1st against Washington and Jefferson College. Start time is 6 p.m. Marietta College women's basketball season isn't quite over yet. That's right. After receiving an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament, Coach Vivian and Lady Pioneers will be traveling to Wichita, New York, where they'll be playing in the first 2 rounds of the play. First team will play Eastern Connecticut State, while Ithaca will face off against L.A. Roche. The Pios hope to continue building off Erin Haynes' record-breaking season, and last week she eclipsed the school record for single-season rebounds. First and second round play takes place this weekend, March 3rd and 4th. Good luck to all Pios. That's all I have in the world of sports. I'm Grant Moore. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Grant. Joining us now at the desk is Landon for our last look at the weather.
Well, to quickly sum it up, between today and tomorrow, much like last week, we're going to have another drastic spike in temperatures, with temperatures rising up to about 72 on Wednesday before taking a cool down as we get closer and closer to the weekend, and then a rather drab and dreary start of Marietta College's spring break on Friday with a day of about 52 or 3% of rain and colder temperatures as a result going into the first full weekend. So most of you guys are probably, if you're not going to stick around, most of the guys are probably going to go to like Florida or California or some other place where it's a lot warmer, so probably won't have to think about the temperatures next week, but we'll keep an eye on that to see how the how the temperatures will be faring for the next week in Ohio while we take a break next week.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today's broadcast. Thank you for joining and watching. We hope you'll join us Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12:30 and at 6:30 for WCMO NewsCenter 15, Marietta College Broadcasting. See you next time.